The humble hardtail seems to be going through a mini revival with a raft of XC, downcountry, trail and potentially even radder rigid frames being introduced for 2021. The advantages are clear. Where uphill speed matters, the direct connection from crank to axle without some energy inefficient suspension spoiling the fun is the quickest way to get up to speed. Riding rough and ready trails on a hardtail might beat you up a little more, but there's something almost zen-like being able to pick the smoothest line between the chunder while pumping through rollers to generate free speed. Hardtails might also be lighter, easier to maintain and cheaper too, as there's simply less moving parts that add weight, require a service or need building in the first place. So we decided to pick out 5 notable bikes with a rigid rear end that we've seen recently, ready for all of your 2021 mountain bike adventures. We've everything from World Cup races to alloy sleds that make descents as hair-raising as possible. But before we crack on, as ever, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time we upload a new video. Harking back to the good old days when a disc wheel, drop bars and dodgy Leica was all you needed to become one of the most famous riders in history, we're talking of John Tomac of course, the 35th anniversary Yeti Ark is notable for a couple of reasons. First is the actual anniversary edition itself, a comprehensive throwback to Yeti's vintage years of racing, with the aforementioned Tomac along with Julie Furtado and Missy Giove shredding up racecourses around the world to countless victories. Yeti's signature turquoise and yellow paint job is sure to stand out from the crowd should you be one of the lucky 100 people who've managed to buy the £8,999 limited edition anniversary model. Next up is the frame itself. The Ark has progressed from its XC roots and is now firmly a trail hardtail. The carbon triangles are built around 130mm forks and bump deleting 29 by 2.6 inch rubber on broad 30mm rims. The geometry is contemporary, with a 67° head angle, 76° seat angle, a low slung bottom bracket, mid-length 433mm chainstays and reaches ranging from 420 to 490mm across the 4 sizes. The 6-bike carbon range starts at £3,799 for a bike featuring performance level Fox 34 suspension and a Shimano SLX drivetrain, and it goes all the way up to that whopping £8,999 for the all-singing, all-dancing anniversary model, with factory level suspension from Fox and wireless shifting from SRAM. Our only issue? For some reason, the iconic curved profile of the seat and chainstay junction seems to have been lost, in place of a far more conventional rear triangle. Oh well. From an expensive trail bike to a top-flight XC race bike now. Don't worry, there are cheaper bikes on our list too. But the Mondraker Podium Carbon is notable for one very good reason. It's really, really light. This summer, we've seen loads of new XC bikes, including a number featuring 0mm of rear wheel suspension. The Orbea Alma and Canyon Exceed are fresh this summer and join the specialised S-Works Epic Hardtail that came out last year in the realms of World Cup ready race bikes. They are all really light, but none quite as light as Mondraker's Podium, with a claimed frame weight in medium of 775 grams. A full 15 grams lighter than that S-Works Epic. Will 15 grams make the difference between top spot and second? Perhaps not, but we sure as hell think there'll be plenty of you out there who will stop at nothing to make sure you've got the lightest bike going. And why not? Mondraker have managed this, despite the frame still featuring their signature forward geometry, meaning the bike's front end is relatively long compared to the competition. There's got to be some extra material making that top tube so long, so they've done a great job in keeping that frame weight so low. Even if those 15 grams make barely a scratch when pointing the bike up a hill, we still think companies pushing the boundaries of materials and frame construction is a very good thing, as that knowledge will eventually make its way down to the bikes you and I ride in, day out. Like the Yeti Ark, the GT Zaska has been around since dinosaur times and started its life as a do-it-all mountain bike. by which back then basically meant it was perfect between the tapes. However, it too has evolved into the GT Zaska LT and represents the modern day aluminium hardcore trail hardtail. The hydroformed aluminium frame features GT's iconic triple triangle design, with the seat stays extending past the seat tube into the top tube. This floating design not only signifies it as a GT, but also, they say, boosts comfort through the back end, with an increase of 50% in the frame's compliance, apparently. The two-bike Zaska LT range starts at £1,000 and comes with a 130mm travel fork, though they'll happily take 140mm of travel too. The range tops out at £1,300 and that's the model we've ridden. Our review can be found in the video description. We found the bike oozed confidence on fast, rough and steep trails thanks to its long, low and slack geometry and burly tyres that add both grip and a little more comfort than it might otherwise have had. If you want a modern day take on the classic 90s mountain bike, but you can't quite stretch to a nigh on £9,000 Yeti, the Zaska LT could be right up your street. When Swiss brand BMC announced a new XC hardtail for 2021, we figured it would be a super high-end, super sharp weapon of a race bike. So we were surprised when we realised that, while still packed full of flat-out features, it looks like it will be an absolute hoot on the trail. When it comes to looks, it's got to be one of the best looking bikes launched this year, with their design engineers quoting the Lockheed Martin X35 Eurofighter jet as an aesthetic inspiration. BMC says that they weren't chasing grams either, which is why we didn't mention it when talking about the Mondraker Podium. In fact, it's almost portly at a claimed 1,037 grams for a medium frame. And that's because BMC says they want to build a frame that's got plenty of durability as well as providing plenty of stiffness, preventing it feel like a wet noodle under power. The geometry is, if you still consider this an XC bike, fairly out there. With a reach of 465mm in a large, a head angle of 67 degrees and a super slammed 425mm chainstay. There are racy features though. A D-shaped seat post is there to improve compliance and looks distinctly similar to some of the aero profiles we've seen on curly barred bikes in recent years. Don't worry though, an adapter is available so you can fit a round 27.2mm seat post including a dropper should you wish. And the bike is still built around 100mm travel forks and skinny, racy tyres. Prices are distinctly un-Swiss as well, with alloy bikes starting at €1,199 and the top carbon-framed model reaching just €3,999. This was something we didn't expect to see from BMC. So, could this be one of the first down-country hardtails? Certainly, we're looking forward to slinging a leg over one as soon as possible and getting as rowdy as possible on the trails. Hardtails have long been the entry point for mountain bikers, thanks to their lower price and ease of ownership. While it's easy to get swayed by carbon this and compliant that, the reality is that the majority of people who want to ride a mountain bike will be looking at entry-level models from some of the biggest brands around. Giant and their sister brand Liv have just released updated ranges of their entry-level, proper mountain bikes, the Talon and the Tempt. Giant, and by extension Liv, is one of the biggest bike manufacturers in the world, offering their frame construction services to a broad array of other brands too. So they know a thing or two about building bikes on a massive scale. This leads to competitive pricing and high-spec frames for the cash. Both brands' bikes feature 100mm of travel up front, with the Tempt's geometry being designed around data gathered on female body dimensions. While mountain biking is at their core, Giant and Liv have realised that often these entry-level mountain bikes perform numerous roles, so expect to see rack and fender mounts to boost their versatility. Pricing for both the Talon and Tempt ranges starts at £399 and tops out at £850, for which you get a 12-speed Shimano group set and an air-sprung fork. Not bad. So there's our list for the top hardtails for 2021. It's a broad mix which we hope will have something to tempt riders from across the mountain bike spectrum. There are loads of hardtails out there though, so drop a note in the comments of any of the bikes that we've missed out. And of course, like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time we upload a new video.